Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Superbike rider Kyle Wyman. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage, and also like or comment below.
Not done racing here at MotoAmerica Live Plus. We've got coverage of what we think might be the best race of the day, and that will be the Twins Cup from MotoAmerica here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Great job in the booth there by Greg White and Jason Pridmore, but now Jason Wygant and Roger Hayden in the booth. It's a few minutes away as Twins Cup bikes are out on the track, and it has been so fun to watch this year. Teague Hobbs, just see him at the bottom of the screen there, the number 79, was trying to get the jump on the field and was fast yesterday, but it was Caleb de Keyrel able to capture the pole position for today's race. See, Hobbs does have that points lead, and he's won 2 races of the 4 this year. Trevor Standish has been Mr. Consistency. He's second in points. Tough break for Jody Berry. It was a dramatic win. He took the victory at our last race in Virginia, but he had a crash immediately as soon as they were out in practice yesterday. From what I've read with some media reports, roadracingworld.com, I think he was knocked out. Hopefully nothing too serious for him, but he's out of action for the weekend. But still a lot of talent in this field. As I mentioned, Caleb de Keyrel with your top qualifying time, and Jackson Blackman was 3rd behind Hobbs. So lots of different riders that can win, and maybe we'll see the draft also come into play and lead to close racing in this class, Roger.
It's going to be interesting to see. We've seen all these other classes in practice who had the fastest bike or whatever. Here we haven't seen these guys out together. There's going to be 3 different brands battling for the win, so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to have the advantage at the front straight.
Yeah, start will be key, and also holding that lead and trying to pull away enough. And then some other riders to look for. Chris Parrish, the veteran, now 44 years old, was on the podium at our last race. Hayden Schultz, he's a teammate of our pole sitter Caleb de Keyrel. Liam McDonald, Ryan Snooks, Brett Donahue, Ethan Cook, Darren James, Sam Weiss. That's a lot of other riders that will get in there, especially on this racetrack. John Knowles will start row number 5 alongside Rogers and Walbin. Mullins, Canal, and Cruz. That'll be row number 6 as this Twins Cup class just keeps getting bigger. We'll give you the rest of the field there. Fawcett, Ramsdale, Vest on row 7, row 8. Angela, Heather Trees, and Edwin Cosme. So that's your field. 20 riders are going to do battle on the largest racetrack of the season. We've got this new Aprilia. There was a lot of talk about that. The Robum Engineering folks. Caleb de Keyrel was fast and won the first race of the year. They were great in Atlanta. They weren't quite as good on that bike at our last race in Virginia. They were worried about how it would perform here, but I think it's been a pleasant surprise. Mitsu Turbo, that is their teammate, Toby Komsuk, who's not here. I believe there was a death in the family, so thoughts are with his family. So Toby Komsuk, Turbo as they call him, is not here this weekend, but Hayden Schultz and Caleb de Keyrel will carry the flag for that Robum Engineering team. Anyway, they were worried. They knew the Yamahas and the Suzuki's well developed. They've been around a while, have good drive off the corners. They were worried that would be tough to overcome. But de Keyrel on the pole, obviously the Aprilia is pretty strong.
He's been pretty quick all weekend, really. You know, the first practice they kind of struggled a little bit. I think they were working on their gearing. That's the biggest thing I think their hurdle has been this week, is trying to getting the gearing right to make sure that they can get a good drive off the corner, but also have enough top speed and RPM left if they're in the draft. And every track they go to is going to be a hurdle. This bike has never been to any of these tracks, so they're kind of starting from zero every weekend, so they got a little more work to do. But they get some experienced riders on their team, and that's a good thing about having teammates as well, and fast teammates. You can kind of work with each other and try to get up to speed a little bit quicker.
Well, they literally did that. You actually saw Hayden Schultz and Caleb de Keyrel get out in the final qualifying session together and I think do a little drafting, and it worked. They were actually 1-2 in times for a while. Eventually, Schultz got shuffled back to 6th, but de Keyrel's time was good enough for top spot, and he's going to be gunning for that number 79 of Teague Hobbs, who was trying to make a breakaway in the series standings with 2 wins and the points lead early, but de Keyrel was able to fight back at least in qualifying. We'll see how Teague Hobbs, who's actually now doing double time, racing some Stock 1000 events, and he wants to take control, win this championship in Twins Cup, and then go to the Stock 1000 full-time next year. And here's a track map of Road America.
One of the things you'll notice at this track is all the straightaways, how long they are. Turn 1's got a lot of hard braking. Turn 3 is another corner where you got to get a good drive. Turn 5, you'll definitely see all the action into there. A lot of passes being made. Through there is the infield section to turn 8 and turn 9. The carousel, the longest corner, I think, of any track in the world. And then you get the quick chicane. Out of there is the run to the Canada corner, and then the last corner, the most important, in my opinion, corner on this track on the last lap. You have to get a good drive out of there if you want to try to make a draft for the pass or keep the lead.
What you can't see out of turn 14 on that track map is the huge incline out of that corner, so it makes the drive out of turn 14. There you can see it on screen. That's a big uphill, so the drive out of the corner even more important.
And I think that's why you've seen Caleb and Hayden Schultz out together this morning, just to make sure they had everything right, drafting with each other. And one thing, too, with a track this fast, they don't really know, the top speed of their bike. They went to Atlanta, but everything keeps changing for them every week, and they keep getting faster. And they get to do that ride after Virginia that Monday, and I think that really helped them a lot.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of new parts to try on that Aprilia, but they just wanted seat time so they could learn the few adjustments that they can do, how it would affect the motorcycle. So a little bit of confidence there. There is Caleb Keyrel, our pole sitter, rider out of Minnesota, looking to follow up from his win at the season opener. See KD51. He's got a really cool vlog letting you inside the life of a racer on YouTube. And his teammate Hayden Schultz runs one as well. So a lot of extra exposure for what these young riders are dealing with as they try to advance through the ranks of MotoAmerica. Right behind him, you see Trevor Standish, who has been very consistent. There he is on that number 16, the Pure Attitude Racing Suzuki. And the Suzuki bike has been around for a while, so what we've really seen between the Suzuki and the Yamaha is the established bikes with a lot of development. There's Chris Parrish. He's been around a while. The established bikes against that new Aprilia, which is brand new. And that's led to some great racing this year.
And also the Yamaha here, I think it might have a little bit of an advantage because we always talk about how it gets off the corners really well, and it's strong. The strong point is its top speed. So we're going to see it, even watching the practices and the qualifying on the board, you can just see how fast the Yamaha is. So I think Jackson Blackman is going to be a factor in today's race.
Yeah, Blackman was third quickest in qualifying, but it's going to change drastically once we're in race conditions and there's a draft. And you can just see on the left side of your screen that number 18, there it is, the blue and pink Yamaha of Jackson Blackman. They're all wondering what kind of horsepower and, most importantly, what kind of torque that bike has. And his dad told me they even did some aerodynamic work to the fairing of that machine in preparation for this track with the 3 long straightaways. So they've got a couple of top secret new changes, although we've let the secret out now, that they hope will aid them on this track. So really good to see the Suzukis, the Yamahas, and the Aprilias fairly equally matched in Twins Cup. Now Jackson actually is snuck back into the championship hunt despite missing the opening round with a broken arm. Same thing, Chris Parrish is not too far back in the standings. He is in 5th. And with how tight this field is, 1% off could be the difference between a first and, say, a 6th or 7th, and someone else making up a whole bunch of points.
We've seen last race with Caleb even struggled one race, so he didn't get on the podium. So definitely, if you're off a little bit, or if you make a mistake, we've seen some guys this weekend run off in turn 5 and also miss the chicane. If you make a mistake in the race, there's so many fast guys in this class now where you're going to get shuffled back to order.
There's Keyrel's number 51. The main thing they've done is just stiffen the forks on the bike. There's a lot more downhill braking, they feel, at this track compared to the last one that they raced in Virginia. So they're learning as they go. And Keyrel wants to be a player for the title. Points would probably be a lot tighter. There's a couple of what-ifs already. Keyrel had a bike blow up on him in the second race of the year, and then the fluid it dropped on the track led to several other riders crashing and not scoring points. But then your series leader, Teague Hobbs, can point to a black flag that he got at race 1 because he jumped the start and didn't follow the black flag. But he's put that behind him, Teague Hobbs. There he is in the 79, still leading the standings on the strength of 2 wins in the 3 races where he didn't get DQ'd. And now crew's starting to move off. Awesome to have this Lucas Oil helicopter. We even had a great shot earlier to show you how close we are to the Lake Elkhart, and the downtown that's connected to it. So an awesome atmosphere both around the track and on it as we get warmed up for Twins Cup. Warm-up lap here. And it probably won't look much different than this in the actual race. 4 or 5 riders all diving into the first turn.
And you'll see these guys going pretty fast on their warm-up lap because it's so important to get the brakes up to temperature. Also, getting the tires up to temperature to make sure that when that race starts, you're ready to go.
Long straightaway here. Probably similar to what we just saw in Junior Cup. As Greg White said, probably feels like it takes forever on these lower horsepower machines. And in a real critical juncture, this corner right here. Saw one of the most spectacular battles you'll ever see in our first race of the day in Supersport with Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante, and they kept pushing hard into turn 5, and then finally it was too much, and they both ended up going down in turn 5 on the brakes. And you could tell that in the previous race, Junior Cup, they knew you couldn't let Ben Glotty get away in that turn 5. If he got the lead there, they had to gang up on him, because if you want to break the draft, that's the key. It's these sections here.
And just looking at the lap times this week, it kind of looks like Caleb has the pace if he wanted to get away possibly, or maybe Teague Hobbs if the guys behind him get the battling out. That's one thing here at this track. You can really slow each other up with all this drafting and passing each other in every single corner. So you gotta play it smart. There's a lot more strategy at a track like this because you can't dice it up. You can't let the leader get away. There's a lot to think about.
And we're also thinking about Jody Barry. We miss having him out here. Has had a great season going, won our last race, but again, a big crash early in practice yesterday. So he is out for the weekend. Him and his Righteous Racing team, a real fun group to hang out with. They even had new custom pit shirts, still with the Hawaiian shirt livery with their sponsor logos. They were stepping up the both fun and serious look, but we won't see it in race form this time because Jody Barry is out. So that's one of the contenders that you're not going to see on the racetrack. Get well soon to him. And it looks like the warm-up lap is just about complete. We're going to have what could be the best race of the day coming up next year. There's that steep uphill climb, which will lead the riders to the finish. Caleb Keyrel going to take his spot right now, rolling into the pole position here in MotoAmerica. And there is Teague Hobbs. Hobbs had a great weekend, actually, in Virginia, results-wise. Even won one of the races. But he actually had an engine go down at the beginning of that weekend. It's Chris Parrish right behind him on the 128 who loaned him a backup engine, but it was not nearly as modified as Teague Hobbs, what he normally races with. So he was down on power and still had good results. So he's got confidence right now. He's got the regular race engine back underneath him. He'd love to win right now. The tension starts to rise, and soon the revs will climb. Let's go racing. Twins Cup here at MotoAmerica. Keyrel, a great jump. Trevor Standish from the second row able to move up as well. As they're up through the gears, there's Standish on the number 16. He's moved up to second. And now the Yamaha of Jackson Blackman joins him at the front. No, Teague Hobbs is going to make the charge. He's into second, but he goes wide. Standish and Hobbs side by side. Standish to the number 2 spot. Well, Caleb Keyrel said his goal was to try to get away. I don't think he meant necessarily in the very first lap, but he is strong right now, Roger.
He definitely is, and it almost looks like he could almost break the draft. If he can get away from these guys right now and they start drafting each other into turn 5, he can maybe try to get the break. He knows he has to do it right away.
And hard under braking. Here comes Teague Hobbs underneath Trevor Standish. In turn 5, takes over the number 2 spot and going to try to zero in on the back of Keyrel.
Teague knows he can't let Caleb get away and lose the draft and spot him too much. They're too close in lap times if he gets too big of a gap to make it up.
Oh, and someone is down into the grass. I don't think it's the same livery as Standish, but I don't think that's him. Cannot quite get the number on it as we're into the carousel.
I think it is him.
Is it Standish?
It is.
Is he not
Standish.
in this group any longer? Oh, that's a tough break for the rider that's second in the standings and was battling for the number 2 spot in this race.
And we've talked about before this weekend how he's kind of been the guy who hasn't made a mistake this year, but it looked like it was in turn 6.
Okay, we'll give you the running order as they come through the finish line. But right now, Keyrel, Robin Engineering Aprilia. Man, he might have done it. He might have gotten, here's the crash. Top of the screen, 3rd place. Oh, that's costly.
Just look at, as soon as he got on the gas, the rear kind of stepped out and the front got light, and that's all it took.
Wow, so scratch another contender from it, and he has to be bummed. And also it appears to be a little bit hurt. Be a hand or wrist. Heartbreaker for Trevor Standish. Meanwhile, Caleb Keyrel coming out firing. He might have broken the draft already. Impressive what he's been able to do. It's up to Teague Hobbs now to try to bridge that gap without being able to use the draft. He's too far back.
Also looks like Jackson Blackman now in the 3rd. He's kind of broke that group behind him.
Chris Parrish will come through next. Then it's Hayden Schultz, Keyrel's teammate, on the Aprilia. Teague Hobbs on the Suzuki in the number 2 position. And he knows how critical this is. He doesn't want Keyrel to get back in the points hunt. Keyrel 4th in points coming into this race, as he did not finish race number 2 of the championship. Had some bike problems, dropped fluid on the track. Look at this, Keyrel continuing to stretch it. And now Jackson Blackman, go ahead.
Teague Hobbs was smacking his back fender to Jackson Blackman on that back straightaway to let him know, let's not get in a battle, follow me and see if we can't reel in Caleb.
And Jackson Blackman responding in kind. He's pulled right up to the rear tire of Blackman. Is on Hobbs right now. Can they work together to bridge the gap back to the leader? Chris Parrish hanging tough in the number 4 spot. Then it's Schultz, McDonald, Cook, Snooks, Brent Donahue, Brian Rogers rounding out the top 10. John Knowles right outside of that into the carousel. And one thing the Aprilia riders were happy with is the handling of that motorcycle.
You can see just through this infield section, like the 2nd sector, the one that they were just in, Caleb was able to pull out a half a second.
Yep, that's the handling. That's the infield they thought they would have an advantage through there. You can see the leader on the left side of your screen, Keyrel, all by himself. Is it a battle for second, or is it teamwork in second? Is it Hobbs and Blackman trying to work together to get back in touch with the number 1 spot?
It's like Jackson lost a touch to Teague that last couple corners. I don't know if he made a mistake or what.
Lucas Oil Helicopter shows you the gap again. Through the forest of MotoAmerica. This is the danger zone right now. If they let Keyrel get any further out, it could be over. And talking to Keyrel and his teammate Schultz all weekend, their number 1 goal, break that draft. I don't know if they expected to be able to do it immediately like this, but that's what Keyrel has done. And this race has stretched out in a hurry.
Last lap, Caleb had a 1.2 second lead. It's going to be interesting to see how much he pulled out this lap.
Here's Chris Parrish, 44 years old. Yeah, he proudly admits that some of the riders that he's battling with here are double his age. Now Jackson Blackman is back, so it is back in action. Jackson Blackman making the move on Hobbs. He had lost a bunch of ground, he made it up, and now he's saying, hitch a ride.
You can see how fast the Yamaha was. He came from a long ways back to pass Teague Hobbs, so now hopefully he can use the power of that Yamaha now on this straightaway to catch him up to Caleb a little bit.
Well, that's what Caleb Keyrel feared. He actually rode a Yamaha last year. He knows how fast that bike is coming out of corners, specifically at this track, because he rode very well here on the Yamaha himself last year. So they're all looking at Jackson Blackman and that Yamaha. The launch that bike is able to get out of the turns. That's what Keyrel fears, that Blackman can get close and then use the draft in the straightaways to get by. Now it's up to Teague Hobbs to keep Blackman in sight.
One thing Caleb has in his back pocket is he has a lot of experience, and also he's won quite a few of these races, so he knows what it's like to lead at the front.
And he just looks so smooth doing it, not pushing over the limit, yet still marching away. Battle is on right now. Teague Hobbs closing back up outside of the carousel. Teague Hobbs almost has it. Side by side, can he close it? Now he's got to try to outbreak Blackman into the chicane, and Teague Hobbs takes second place back.
This last lap, that's where Jackson Blackman lost all of his time to Teague Hobbs. Whatever it is in the carousel, he's really struggling through there. But look at the Yamaha on the straight line.
Unbelievable, just blast right by, drive off the corner, plus the draft, and a little aerodynamic work. Jackson Blackman's dad says got some friends in the NASCAR industry that did a little work. They were swapping a new fairing onto that bike. They thought it might be worth 2-3 miles an hour, and it might have paid off right there. And shout out to Chris Parrish, who has gotten into this battle from fourth. So Parrish going to make a run with the kids. Teague Hobbs, good entry into this corner. Trying to stay right there with Jackson. Onto the front straightaway. Is Parrish within draft distance? He was for a moment.
He was, but it looks like he's lost a little bit.
Yeah, yep.
But also Teague's in the draft of Jackson Blackman, which is really going to help him.
Keyrel has opened it up to 2.8 seconds. They were thinking it was around a second to 2 seconds what they needed to break that draft. He's above that mark right now. Can these three riders work together? It was Blackman and Hobbs a lap ago signaling to each other. Now they've got the experienced veteran of Chris Parrish going to run with them. And they're completely in line, not battling, working together. And as soon as I say that, Parrish gives it a look down the inside of Hobbs and then goes back in line. There is the leader taking off on the left side.
That first sector, those guys were half a second quicker than Caleb, so that's the one that they're a little bit stronger than he is.
Yeah, but he's been fast right in sectors 2-3, so we'll see if it swings back to his advantage here.
And also, that could be the top speed of the Yamaha. You know, you get the front straightaway, then you also get that run to turn 5, 2 straightaways. That might be why the Yamaha's so quick through there.
Parrish got it done. He gets around Teague Hobbs. He's up to third. And it's fun to watch. But the riders were talking about a yo-yo battle where it stretches out and it closes back. You've got 3 different bikes here with a Yamaha, Suzuki, and an Aprilia, and they all have their advantages and disadvantages at different parts of the track, and it leads to great racing. Chris Parrish trying to go to second, 3 wide in the carousel. Hobbs came in too hot, and he's back to fourth. Chris Parrish on the move. Up to the number 2 position. Blackman immediately goes to work using that Yamaha power and takes the spot right back.
This has been the best ride I've seen out of Chris Parrish in a while. I know he's got on a couple podiums, but here, you know, to catch these guys, he was a little bit behind them and worked his way up to them. Yeah,
it was only 1 lap ago when we said he might be too far back to draft them, and at one point he passed both of them. Blackman, still a title contender despite missing the first 2 rounds of the series. He's only 23 points down because he was on the podium at both races in Virginia. And now he said he's trying to keep the pressure off. It's one thing to come into a race after an injury not picking points. It's another thing to maintain that loose feeling when suddenly you see yourself as someone that could win the title. And he said, the more fun I have in the races, the better I ride. So I'm not trying to even think about the results. I'm just having a good time. And he's enjoying it right now because he's pulled away. Hobbs around Parrish. Hobbs, a huge entry into turn 1.
That draft got him in there a lot quicker than he'd been the last couple laps.
Parrish gives it a look around the outside. All right, critical juncture here. Next up, this big straightaway. And then the turn 5, where you've seen a lot of passing. Will they continue to play nice with each other, this 3-pack of Blackman and Parrish and Hobbs? Or will they start trying to make moves on each other? Nope, they're still working together here in turn 5. Well, they're trying everything, but Caleb Keyrel continues to march away. It's up to 3.397. That is a big gap for a Twins Cup race.
It is, and every lap he's just been so consistent, the low 49s. He's not making any mistakes.
And now Hobbs a look on the inside of Blackman. Makes the pass for the number 2 spot as we head into the carousel. Oh, Hobbs down and into the gravel trap. That's your series leader. That's going to be a major shakeup. Lost the front end, I think, coming into the carousel. He was battling Blackman. And this whole series has just been turned upside down.
We talk about the bumps here at this track, having those little chatter bumps. You can see as soon as he got into the carousel, he went over a couple of those bumps and lost the front end, and down he went.
Well, now it's official. Just about everybody in this Twins Cup series has had a bad race to start the year.
Teague Hobbs had 2 of them now. You talk about the black flag and then this race.
Yep, and then Keyrel had the DNF at round 2. We're going to take you through this.
Lost it early on the entry to the carousel as well. A lot of times when you see a guy lose the front end in the carousel, it's usually in the middle. His was right at the beginning.
Do you think he might have changed his line because he was battling side by side with Blackman? Was he maybe in a different part of the racetrack?
It looked like he was in a different line. Maybe he was going to try to block, or maybe he went in there quicker because he was so much stronger than Jackson in there. Maybe he was going to try to pull away.
Well, as we mentioned, they all kind of know where the strengths and weaknesses of their bikes are. So you've got to try to maximize the advantage. If you're good under braking, you've got to try to utilize that to its max, and maybe it was too much. So Teague Hobbs is down, and that's going to cost him dearly in points. And how about Jackson Blackman? If he can make a run for the podium again, and if he stays mistake-free, he's going to do it. He could find himself missing the opening weekend of the series and being right in the title hunt. And Caleb Keyrel is gone, folks. And I hung out with those guys on Thursday. I don't think they saw this coming. They were hoping it would be a good weekend, but they were far from assured of that. But Caleb Keyrel has been dominant.
You talk about a shakeup in the points. The top 3 guys are out of this race right now. Teague Hobbs had a crash. Trevor Standish had a crash. Then Jody Berry had to crash yesterday in practice and didn't make the race.
Wow. So Caleb Keyrel, who knows? He could go from 4th to 1st in the standings by the end of this weekend. And you can see the gap he's opened up. You can barely get him in the Lucas Oil helicopter shot. He's at the very top of the screen. Forget breaking the draft. He's got a whole straightaway lead right now.
And he just did his fastest lap of the race to his last lap. So he's just getting more laps and getting more comfortable in that new Aprilia.
I was just going to say that, Roger. We're talking about how they're adjusting to the new bike. Is this the potential? Have they gone to another level here?
I think that ride after Virginia on that Monday must have had to help him a lot. Just getting to learn the bike. You know, I was telling you earlier in the weekend, it's really hard to come to a race weekend and work on your riding style if you need to change it on the new bike, because you're in qualifying, you're in practice. It's all about going quick. And on that Monday after Virginia, even though they didn't have a lot of stuff to test, just getting your confidence in the front end and try, changing your riding style if you need to, and kind of slow down a little bit and focus on that stuff.
So now it's up to Caleb Keyrel to not throw this one away. It's his race to win or lose. It'd be his 2nd victory of the season. He's got a big gap. He's running the fastest lap time still, up to almost 4.5 seconds right now. And he probably has no idea of the point shakeup. Standish out. Jody Berry, they already know, is out after a crash in practice. And, of course, our series leader, Teague Hobbs, went down. And you get the helicopter shot and the close-up of Keyrel in full tuck.
Another fastest lap for Caleb with the 5-second lead and still just doing the fastest laps.
So he's not even pushing, I would think. This is just a comfortable pace for him. He doesn't need to.
I bet his team's over there thinking, slow down.
Yeah. Okay. Don't overdrive it in any of these corners. So Keyrel grew up as a motocross racer. There's a team now racing the motocross and supercross, Club MX. And the man that manages that team and runs the Club MX training facility, Brandon Haas. Actually, Caleb Keyrel was one of the first riders he ever coached as a motocross rider. But then Keyrel started trying road racing and found the results were that much better. He's gone back and forth between the 2 disciplines, but obviously now he is locked in on road racing with results like this. And it is a perfect run, not only the lap times and the lead, but how it's going to affect the series standings. He could be the leader in the championship by the time this one is over.
He's just rode a perfect race so far. Every time we're on camera, he hasn't made a mistake yet. Liam McDonald now, I think, has moved up in the 4th spot. That's going to be his first top 5 if he can finish there.
Battling it out with Hayden Schultz, who's the teammate of Keyrel. Schultz in 5th, Cook 6th. Ryan Snook 7th, Brett Donahue 8th, John Knowles 9th, And Brian Rogers rounds out the top 10. And it's Sam Weston 11th, Darren James 12th, Andrew Cruz 13th, Brian Mullins 14th, Michael Hanau is 15th. And we'll give you the full top 20. Michael Hanau, Adam Fawcett, Cliff Ramsdell, Gino Angela, Heather Trees 19th, and Rodney Best top 20. Well, we expected this to be one of, if not the best races of the weekend. Caleb DeCarroll had other plans. I just cannot get over how worried they were about, hey, even if we're fast, they're just going to draft right back by us again. He and Hayden Schultz, his teammate, he had the draft broken in one lap.
He took that equation out of it early in that first lap. Even the first 2 laps of his just really pulled away from those guys.
Dare I say this is a Jake Gagne-like performance with the hot laps early. And they haven't seen him. He gives you the brightest colored helmet he could possibly give you. But with a lead like this, they cannot see it in the distance. We'll see everyone, I'm sure, will be back to the drawing board. Reset for racing tomorrow. White flag is out. Domination ride for KD51. There's Jackson Blackman, just keeps on stacking points. Now Blackman was pretty funny. It's really just he and his dad. That's the entire team. And he said they both had different directions they wanted to go on suspension. So they did the smart thing. It's rare that a father and son would do this. Instead of arguing, he said, we went and found someone smarter that knows more about suspension than us to tell us what to do. And it's been a good run for Jackson in second. Chris Parrish alone now in third. Liam McDonald, he mentioned Roger, moving in the fourth. I'll put Schultz in fifth. Don't throw it away now, Caleb DeCarroll.
Even his last lap was another 28.9 with the, now he has a 6.5 second lead.
It's a good racetrack for him. He got to battle with Rocco Landers, who was a pretty dominant figure in this class a year ago. So probably a little confidence coming in with that. Parrish gave Blackman a good run, but he's lost a little pace here at the end.
I think he realized he had that nice little gap to the people in fourth. Kind of bring it home. I mean, a podium for him is a great result.
And DeCarroll happy to be racing with this Rover team. Last year it was just him and his girlfriend with a van driving to the races, sleeping in the van. He liked his old bike, the Yamaha. He's willing to take a chance on a new bike because he really liked what this Robum engineering team had to offer, and now they have this Aprilia dialed in.
And now he can come to the races and just focus on racing. Where before he had to, get his bike to the track, worry about getting tires and all this crash damage stuff and spare parts, all that stuff that goes into making it to a race weekend. Now he can just focus on riding.
Yeah, there was some crash damage when he had the big crash on this bike in the second race of the year in Atlanta. It wasn't his fault, some fluid was coming out, and that led to the crash. And the team owner told me they started the year with 10 bodywork kits, and they're already down to 4. So they need these guys to keep them on 2 wheels, and this is how you do it. Finishing touches on a masterpiece for Caleb DeCarroll. What draft? Huge lead. Big win. Caleb DeCarroll doesn't just win, he dominates here. Race 1 at MotoAmerica. Takes a look back for the first time. Maybe surprised to see that level of gap. Jackson Blackman rode well. It is nearly 8 seconds, and now it sinks in for DeCarroll. Chris Parrish going to take a solid third. Well, that'll shake up the standings big time. You called it. Top 3 in the series will score 0 points. Jody Berry out after a crash early in the weekend. Teague Hobbs crashed out. Trevor Standish crashed out early. And that's going to allow Blackman, Parrish, and DeCarroll to move up. Oh, you got to celebrate these moments. We hear all about this. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. When you win like that, you got to let it sink in.
Especially when you come in and you're worried so much about the new bike and where you're going to be. They didn't get a lot of laps yesterday morning, so I'm sure the anxiety rose just from that.
Yep. And Jackson Blackman cheering him on. I'm telling you what, that kid, he is everyone's biggest fan. I saw him down on every single podium in all the other classes. Blackman at Virginia cheering on all the different riders. He's always high-fiving the guys in his own class. When they were doing their warm-up lap in Virginia, he went down. Oh, I know it was actually a red flag, and everybody had to go down and hang out in their pit stalls, and he was high-fiving people. Now he's doing a wheelie. Said the goal is to keep it loose. He's definitely done that. Keyrel DeCarroll telling these fans here in MotoAmerica he wants to hear them. And there's a good crowd here, so he can.
It's always a really good feeling when you win a race and you're on your cool-off lap and you just see so many fans like they see this weekend.
Just put a little pressure on him now that he knows he has this kind of pace to say, like, man, I need to maximize and have a perfect weekend?
I think now he just needs to make sure he doesn't make too many mistakes. He's, really fast. They're going to get better as the year goes on with this bike. They're going to figure out a lot. So he just needs to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes and keep doing what he did this weekend. Whenever they've struggled a couple of sessions, like at Virginia, they just went back to their previous setup. He rode a perfect race. Not too many times you can say somebody rode a perfect race. He didn't put a wheel in the wrong spot.
Absolutely not. Now he's going to probably get some congratulations from Chris Parrish, who always has a good time at the races. The 44-year-old got the distinctive look on his bike, and that's actually what he does for a living. Ghetto Custom Posse, GCP, paints those bikes and the helmets. He's really proud of the look with the gold flake on his bike. There's Hayden Schultz on the 49. Hey, he got back around McDonald right at the end. Schultz on the 49 will end up taking fourth. A good hustle there. We'll give you some race highlights. It's a highlight reel for Keyrel DeCarroll, and started with a great jump.
You can see that launch just right off the line. He got a perfect start. This is the first lap. Trevor Standish turned 6, lost the front end.
He's in a little bit of pain and certainly frustrated. So enter the battle, second, third, and fourth. Teague Hobbs, Jackson Blackman going back and forth with Parrish right behind him.
Jackson, you can see there just on the straightaway using the power of that Yamaha, using the strength of it, and that's pretty smart.
So Hobbs and Blackman going back and forth at times, but also pointing to try to use each other to get closer to the leader. And there's Parrish jumping in on it.
Chris Parrish was actually about a second and a half back from this group and caught up to him with about 6 or 7, and almost kind of looked like the fastest guy there for a couple laps.
And then this. Teague Hobbs loses the front end going into the carousel and throws away a pile of points. And Keyrel DeCarroll, they never saw him. He checked out starting on lap number 1, and it was like a qualifying race. Just riding by himself. Keyrel DeCarroll's second win of the season. And here's the math. Better they do it than me, and it happened. Keyrel DeCarroll has taken over the points lead. That's practically a live look, the smile on his face in the photo there. Remember, he didn't even finish the second race of the year, so to be back on top of this series in just the 5th race, that's big. And Chris Parrish, the Agents, won second in the standings.
Top 7 guys are within 25 points. That's one race.
That is big right now. And Teague Hobbs, he's going to bounce back. He is going to be motivated for our next race because he had a shot at second in this one. He was in a big battle and ended up going down. Rest of the standings, Ethan Cook is rounding out the top 10. Toby Komsuk, who is absent this weekend, he'll be back for more at our next event. He is now back to 11th in points ahead of Bays, Knowles, Hart, and Dustin Walbon. So it's all come up in the direction of Keyrel DeCarroll, both the race win and the points lead. Probably did not think that was going to happen, but it took a couple of riders going down to make it happen. We've got riders ready to celebrate on the podium. We'll have Jamie Howe to talk to them in just a moment. There is Keyrel DeCarroll. That was the entire race crew last year, him and his girlfriend. Now they've got the Robum Engineering folks backing them. And his sponsor, CJ Knows, helping fund the program as well. You see Parrish over there on the right. That's his machine. And this should be real fun. These guys are pretty big personalities, and winning is still pretty new to them, and even podium finishes as well. We saw how pumped Blackman was with rostrum finishes at our last race. And I don't even know if DeCarroll's aware of how this has affected the points yet. And let's find out what our race winner's thinking. We'll send it down to Jamie Howe.
For Keyrel DeCarroll, it is his second win of the season. We saw you look over your shoulder after you took the checkered flag. When you saw the way you dominated this race, what thought did you have?
The only thought I had was thank you to my team for all their hard work. We struggled a little bit at VIR to get me comfortable, and we actually went to an Aprilia A Racer Days. It's a track day that Aprilia has. You can test out their new bikes that they have coming out. And we got a lot of seat time in. We got a lot of development done with my with velocity calibrations. Eric, he's my suspension guy, and we were really able to get this thing dialed in so we could be, right up front right away here at MotoAmerica. So overall, I just had a blast out here at MotoAmerica. This bike is so much fun to ride, and thank you to all the fans who came out to this Wisconsin heat. It was pretty brutal out there, but it was a ton of fun, and I'm glad we could put on a show for you guys.
It was certainly a show for all of these fans. Congratulations to our race winner, Keyrel Keyrel. We're going to move over to our second place finisher. It is Jackson Blackman, who's finished on the podium now, his third straight race with the podium result. Jackson, what's made the difference for you in 2021?
It seems like second place is my spot, huh? No, I mean, I did everything I could today. I didn't get the start I wanted to, and Caleb played it perfect, man. He got out front, put his head down. Trevor went down there in turn 6. It just gave just a little bit of a gap, and when I had that kind of toe from Teague, I felt like I was maybe gaining for maybe a lap and a half, and I just saw it was staying the same, and I was having a few bike issues, just was pushing the bike a little bit and moving around, so I just kind of tried to stay consistent, and once I saw I got a gap on third, I just wanted to bring it home, and it's very important in the championship after missing the first round, seeing those two guys go down. Of course, I hope they're all right, but definitely plays a big factor, so was really happy to bring home in second. I got to give a big thank you to the Northeast Cycle guys this weekend and Yamaha for all their support. It's just me and my dad over there with the Northeast Cycles guys, and we're making it happen, against all those big teams. And me and my dad built this thing in the basement, so it's just so awesome to be able to get up here and give him some appreciation. And I got to give a big thank you to HJC, 1X, Track Day winner, GP Tech, Finish Line Machine, Roaring Toys, Rob Bush Motorsports, just everybody that's behind me. I hope I'm not missing anybody, but I'm just really happy to be up here and keep the podium streak going. Already one more podium than last year in the second round for me, so I'm really happy.
He's reading those sponsors off of his suit. Congratulations to Jackson Blackman. Let's keep it down here in our Victory Lane celebration. We're going to head over to Chris Parrish. You started the race 5th, but you were able to survive it. You brought it home with the podium result, your 3rd of the season. How'd you do that?
I'm really 3rd? Really? That's cool. Not bad for the old man, huh? Woo! This one's for Jody Berry, man. It's hot as balls out here, sir. But big thank you to Beth for traveling around doing all this with me. I don't know why she does it, but honey, appreciate it. And shout out to Paul Blake. He come here and helped me. And he also sponsors the helmet program and bought a set of tires for this race, and this bike is perfect. Shout out to Lenny at K-Tech. Dude, I know I'm bugging you, but man, I appreciate you listening to me and fixing my hoopty right here. But 3 different manufacturers on this podium is the jam, man, and I'm glad I'm on the Suzuki. Sorry for the other guys, but this is fun, man, ain't it? This is a lot of fun. But shout out to the Wingman Garage, David Huff Oil with Amsoil Oil, Gen Speed, and who else is on there? Millennium Technologies. Appreciate it, guys. I had fun.
That smile says so much. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jamie. I told you those podium interviews would be good. Teague Hobbs not on it. You see the 79. It was a good battle with those two, him, Blackman, and Parrish, but he eventually went down. And I'm sure he'll be back with a vengeance tomorrow, and we'll have some great racing in store for you. We will start at 10 a.m. on MotoAmerica Live Plus. King of the Baggers will be racing tomorrow, round 2 of their championship head-to-head fight between Indian Motorcycle and Harley-Davidson. Then the Stock 1000s will have their first race of the weekend as well. Super Sport Race 2, Sport Bike Track Year Junior Cup Race 2, and Honos Superbike Race number 2 will round out our weekend. So Keyrel Keyrel, a dominant figure in Twins Cup. I don't think we expected that, but there'll be a vengeance on the mind of everybody else in this class. Pretty good racing today, Roger, and we heard how hot it was. Different riders explaining it in different ways, so we don't know how it's going to turn out tomorrow. I think everybody's still left guessing a little bit as we go into Sunday.
We had great racing today, and I expect tomorrow to be even better because all these guys now they know what they need to work on for tomorrow, and they're going to improve. And if you had a bad race today, it's a great thing about having 2 races. You get to come back tomorrow and do better.
Yeah, not everybody has a chance to race tomorrow. We don't run every class on each day. We'll fit in baggers and stock 100 or start 1,000 tomorrow on MotoAmerica Live Plus. For Roger Hayden, and also thanks to Janie Howe for patrolling the racetrack and helping with our podium interviews. I'm Jason Wagan. Unbelievable save there, by the way, from Teague Hobbs earlier in the day, but he had a crash in the race And we saw some awesome qualifying action from King of the Baggers. Maybe the race of the decade between Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante, which opened the door for a popular win for Stefano Mesa. Dominant win for Jake Gagne. Big win for Tyler Scott in his Junior Cup race. And it ends with a crash from Hobbs and a big win from Caleb DeCarroll halfway through the weekend. We will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. MotoAmerica Live Plus.